Imagine a world where your thoughts can instantly become reality, and the boundaries between physical and virtual space are erased. What is it like to wake up in the morning when artificial intelligence is not just an assistant, but your loyal friend and advisor? What if you could travel through time, exploring not only the past but also the future that has not yet come? The technologies of the future are already knocking on the doors of our present, and they promise to change everything we know about life, work, and communication. Are you ready to embark on an exciting journey through uncharted worlds, where every discovery can overturn your understanding of what's possible? Let's look beyond the horizon together and find out what awaits us ahead. Robots. Controlling robots with just the power of thought. Sounds like science fiction, doesn't it? But in reality, such technologies already exist. Scientists from an institute in Lausanne, Switzerland, for example, have developed a system that allows people with tetraplegia to live a full life. This is a BCI system, consisting of 2 implants. Scientists believe that this system can work for people with both complete and incomplete spinal cord injuries and other conditions causing paralysis. What if in the future we could control wheelchairs with the power of thought? Incredible, isn't it? Bones, as if from a fairy tale, appear right before your eyes from a 3D printer. Scenes from science fiction movies, but very soon this could become a reality. The company Ossiform is engaged in this incredible work, using a material that is so similar to real human bones that it takes your breath away. It's called tricalcium phosphate. Sounds kind of futuristic, doesn't it? And it turns out that in some countries, 3D printing is already being used in medicine. Scientists have learned to create sections of living tissues that help test medications. But imagine that now they can print entire organs that can replace donor ones. They use special printers and cartridges with human cells and a special gel that helps them form into tissue. So far, they have been able to create organ models, but they are not fully functional yet. But if scientists solve this problem, what revolution awaits us in transplantation? Cells. Imagine a scientist from Cambridge trying to stop time. He wants to invent a way to remove old, non-functioning cells to give young and healthy ones a chance to grow and develop. Just think, if this worked, 60-year-olds could biologically remain 30, and this could be repeated several times. The scientist himself believes that such a magical therapy will appear very soon. Can you imagine? It's as if we found the elixir of youth. People could live not just 100, but 200, 300, maybe even 500 or 1,000 years. Incredible, right? Injections. Now you could hold your breath for 30 minutes. Such an incredible thing was invented by scientists from a clinic in Boston. These are oxygen injections, which act like a lifeline for the body when the lungs can't cope. They created a composition where tiny oxygen bubbles are encased in a protective lipid layer. These tiny bubbles are so small that they can enter directly into the bloodstream and saturate it with oxygen, bypassing all the dangers that can arise with the usual method of oxygen delivery. The injections will allow you to go without air for 15 to 20 minutes. A large number of people interested in this technology have emerged among free divers, who dream of diving underwater without scuba gear for extended periods. This technology is currently being actively tested, and the results are very promising. Doesn't it sound like science fiction? Dreams. Many of us, upon waking up, quickly forget our dreams or don't remember them at all. Now imagine that your dreams can be watched like movies. Scientists are currently trying to do just that. They have come up with a way to read images from the brain screen using an MRI scanner. So far, the video is a bit blurry, but this is just the beginning. They scan the areas of the brain responsible for vision when a person is asleep. Even though the image is not perfect yet, scientists are confident that over time they will be able to make it clearer. Incredible, right? Artificial eyes and neurons. Imagine artificial eyes. Last year, doctors achieved the incredible. They restored the vision of a 78-year-old person using an artificial cornea. And now Australian scientists are developing glasses with a camera that transmit information directly to the brain. Can you imagine how cool that is? But that's not all. Canadian doctors have created bionic lenses that improve vision threefold. Can you imagine how the world will burst into new colors? They are placed directly in the eye and unfold over the lens. This is a real sensation in the world of ophthalmology. Imagine tiny neurons made of silicone. They already exist, you know. Scientists think that with their help, it will be possible to treat serious diseases, like heart problems or Alzheimer's disease. Digital twins. Imagine that every person has a virtual copy that exactly mirrors their health. The American company Cube Bio is developing just such a thing. A 3D avatar of the patient's body is a kind of digital twin. With its help, it will be possible to monitor the body's condition in real time. And to gather all the necessary information, they have created a special scanner. Can you imagine? In just an hour it can measure a ton of indicators, hormone levels, fat deposits, and much more. This is a real revolution in medicine. Eco-friendly funerals. Death has always been a separate topic, and different cultures have approached it in various ways. But imagine a future where instead of marble tombstones and lavish funerals, there is a return to the earth, but in an accelerated manner. In America, they have figured out how to turn a body into fertile soil in just a month. For this, the deceased is placed in a special chamber with soil, straw, and other natural materials. There is also a special mushroom suit that helps the body decompose quickly. I wonder what will happen next. Maybe entire forests of memory will grow from this soil. Products. Products that we buy all the time: milk, cheese, and ice cream. But not from cows, from a lab. Scientists have been thinking about how to reduce the harm that conventional milk production causes to the environment. That's why they embarked on an exciting endeavor, creating artificial dairy products. The American startup Brown Foods, a cell cultivation technology company, has introduced artificial milk. According to the initial studies, it is indeed comparable to natural milk in composition and, in turn, is suitable for making cheese, butter, and other dairy products. And this is just the beginning. What do you think about the new approach to recycling? There's an enterprising guy named Arthur K. He came up with the idea to turn almost all, a whole 85%, of coffee grounds into fuel. You'll be able to heat your home and drive your car on coffee. Currently, his company BioBean collects these coffee grounds from cafes and restaurants, and then transports them to their factory in Cambridgeshire. I wonder how they make fuel from these grounds? Virtual reality universes. Technology is gaining momentum, and imagine that very soon we will be able to immerse ourselves in worlds created with their help. Companies like Meta, Google, and Sony are working on new gadgets and improvements in virtual reality. Maybe in a few years, we'll be spending as much time there as we do in the real world. And today, student Heather Dewey Hagborg, like an artist, creates unusual portraits of people. But instead of a brush, she uses a computer. She collects discarded cigarette butts and gum from the street, extracts tiny pieces of DNA from them, and voila! The program turns these genetic codes into 3D portraits of people. Like a time machine, it shows us how these people might have looked at 25 years old. And then these virtual faces come to life as realistic sculptures. Incredible, right? Direct air capture. A future where we can capture carbon dioxide directly from the air. Wow! It's like catching butterflies, but instead of wings, it's CO2 molecules. And not just capture it, but also store it in underground reservoirs. And imagine if you could make fuel from this gas, like gasoline from thin air. But there's a catch. This trick requires a lot of energy. It's like a time machine that consumes all the electricity in the city. So for now, it seems more like science fiction than reality. I wonder when scientists will find a way to make this more accessible? Bricks and concrete. Houses, made of bricks that not only sit in the wall, but also store energy, like little batteries. American. Scientists came up with this, for now it's all in the experimental stage, but they say that such walls will be able to store a lot of energy and recharge over and over, almost without stopping. I wonder, how did they do it, and how many of these bricks are needed to power an entire house? And concrete that repairs its own cracks? That definitely sounds like science fiction. But scientists from the University of Colorado and Boulder have created something incredible: living concrete that can repair itself. They mixed gelatin, sand, cyanobacteria, and voila, a material capable of self-regeneration. The resulting mixture was able to recover, even after being torn apart 3 times. Technology. Scientists from the University of Glasgow, during another morning run, came up with the smart idea to invent a watch that runs on sweat. They are so small that to fully charge them, they need just a drop of sweat, less than 20 microliters. Incredible, right? And now imagine that you are going on a trip and taking a TV with you. Yes, you heard that right. LG has created a TV that rolls up like a regular scroll. They use some magical LEDs based on organic polymer plaster. This allowed them to make the screen super thin. And LG isn't the only one. Samsung, Sony, and Mitsubishi are also trying to make screens flexible so that they can be taken anywhere. But that's not all. Just think, we will be able to store our entire life photos, videos, favorite books, on a disk the size of a postage stamp. And this disk will store information for billions of years, even if boiling water is spilled on it. Scientists have created such a magical disk that records data not in the usual 2 dimensions, length and width, but in 5 dimensions at once. How is this possible? Imagine tiny dots arranged in space in a specific way. When light passes through these dots, they change its polarization, and with the help of special tools, we can read the recorded information. They have already managed to record famous documents on such a disk: the Declaration of Human Rights, the Bible, the Magna Carta. Incredible, isn't it? In a few years, such disks might become commonplace. And with a new wave of technology, there will be robots, but not made of metal and wires, but living ones. Developers say that this is something completely new, like creatures from the future. They are like living Lego that can be programmed for different actions. I wonder what they are capable of. A scientist robot and artificial leaves. At Tufts University, they created a real scientist robot. This artificial intelligence in just 42 hours solved the mystery of regeneration of a worm. Not only did it calculate, but it also came up with a new theory. Incredible, isn't it? What do you think this smart algorithm will be able to do next? Another incredible idea from scientists. They created solar cells that can transform ordinary carbon dioxide from the air into real fuel using the power of the sun. Remember how they used to try to do the same thing, but something always went wrong? But here, finally, a real breakthrough. And the most interesting part is, instead of expensive metals like silver, they use tungsten, which is 20 times cheaper and works 1,000 times faster, economical and efficient. These solar cells capture carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and convert it into synthetic gas. And from that, you can get fuel that can be used immediately or processed into the gasoline and diesel we are familiar with. Isn't it amazing? Farm, park, safety. Huge, floating gardens, like islands in the middle of the ocean, will soon not just be scenes from a movie. Architect Javier Ponce came up with a way to grow vegetables and fish right on the water, using solar energy. Can you imagine? One such farm the size of several football fields will be able to provide almost 10 tons of food every year. I wonder when we will see such floating farms in reality? Just imagine a huge park where time seems to have turned back. They plan to recreate a world that existed 12,000 years ago. Just think, wild horses, mighty bison, and even mammoths. Well, not exactly real ones, but they're modern cousins. But still, it's incredible. Isn't it an exciting idea? When creating new farms and parks, we shouldn't forget about safety. Imagine drones that spray sounds instead of water. Scientists from America have figured out how to use loud sounds to fight fires. They have created a special sound extinguisher that can already put out fires under certain conditions. Curious how it works? Maybe the sound just scares the flames away? City. Another exciting development of the future: underwater bridges floating underwater. In Norway, they decided to build something incredible: huge tubes wide enough for a 2-lane road, which will be located at a depth of 30 meters. It's interesting how they will stay in place. After all, they need to account for wind, waves, and strong currents. On such a project, they have already spent $25 billion, and it is planned to be completed only by 2035. We look forward to it eagerly. Not far behind is the upgrade of automobiles, another incredible thing created by scientists. The guys from Pennsylvania came up with a battery for cars that heats itself up to 60 degrees and then cools down. And all this is so that the electric car can be charged to full 100% in just 10 minutes. Airports of the future, but not for airplanes. But 4. Drones and flying taxis. And you know what's most interesting? They're already building one in England, in the city of Coventry. Urban Airport is the company that is creating this airport. When completed, it will look like a truncated cone with a round landing pad on top. But the aircraft themselves are becoming more environmentally friendly. It seems unbelievable, but it's a reality that could become very close. In England, since 2020, they have been actively working on this project, which is called Fly Zero. Its goal is to explore the concept of zero-emission aircraft. The Aerospace Technology Institute, in collaboration with the country's government, is developing a hydrogen-powered aircraft. The first version will be designed to carry 120 to 200 passengers. Can you imagine how cool it is to fly without carbon emissions? Shopping. Let's do a little imagining. You're at the station, and in front of you are not ordinary billboards, but real virtual shelves with products. It's like a store right on the wall. In South Korea, this already exists. You scan the barcode under the product you like, and that's it, the order is placed. And a courier will bring it to your home whenever. It's convenient, cool, right? And you know, this is especially important now, because due to the virus, we're all trying to go out less. Modern designers are also not standing aside and are creating the clothing of the future. Just imagine, it's not something you put on, but something you apply. Spanish designer Manuel Torres came up with something incredible: spray-on clothing. It's some kind of magical liquid made of special fibers and polymers. It is sprayed onto the body, for example, in the shape of a t-shirt. When it dries, voila, you have a new outfit. And the most interesting part is that you can take it off and put it back on whenever you want. Can you imagine the limitless possibilities this opens up for designers? Now they can bring any fantasy to life in their collections. Conclusion. So, we have reached the end of our journey into the world of future technologies. But is this really the end? Or perhaps this is just the beginning of a new era where each of us becomes not just a witness, but an active participant in grand changes? How do you envision your life in 10, 20, or even 30 years? Will you be one of those who boldly steps into the unknown? Or will you prefer to stay in your familiar comfort zone? Technologies that once seemed like science fiction are already beginning to shape our present, and each of us has the opportunity to become part of this amazing process. Are you ready to take on the challenge and become the architect of your future? Let's not just dream about tomorrow, but actively create it. What mark do you want to leave in this world when technology becomes an integral part of our lives? It's time to act. Has come. Thank you for being with us. Until next time.